Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another series of webinar on Grow Your Practice. The topic for today will be enhancing audit efficiency, leveraging automation tool for comprehensive assurance via any audit automation tool. It's an initiative of CMP to empower practicing members. Moderating the session today will be CA Amit Rai. Before handing over the mic to you, sir, let me just give you a brief introduction of you. He's a qualified chartered accountant having 4 years of experience in field of direct taxation. He's running his own CA practice in Delhi NCR after being engaged with Deloitte as an assistant manager. He has represented scrutiny and appeal cases in front of AO and CITA, resulting in reversal of demand. He has participated in Mega CA Student National Conference as a paper presenter conducted by BOSS ICAI. He is also awarded as second best paper presenter in technical session and has served as NIRC as NICASA volunteer. Dear sir, I'm handing over the mic to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shivang sir. Now, I, C. Amit Rai, on behalf of Committee for Member in Practice, moderating today's session on the topic Enhancing Audit Efficiency, Leveraging Automation Tool for Comprehensive Assurance Function via any audit automation tool. Now, I'd like to invite our honorable speakers of the today's session, CA Paris Clerk sir and CA Siva Prasad sir. They have the vast experience in the field of audit and other related matters. Now, giving a brief introduction about themselves. First, start with Paris sir. Paris sir is a qualified chartered accountant, also graduate from Mumbai University. He has also hold a cost accountancy degree. He has done certification course on IFRS conducted by the ICI. He's also done the certification course on business responsibility and sustainability reporting conducted by the ICI. He started his career as an article assistant in 1983 in one of the renowned firms in Mumbai. His main core area is in the field of taxation, accounts, auditing, and company law matters, as well as in the due diligence. He's also started his teaching profession in 1986, associated with Mithibai College of Arts, Chauhan Institute of Science, and Amrutben Jivanlal College of Commerce, Mumbai, as an associate professor in accountancy. Talking about professional achievements, he was a special invitee on Accounting Standard Board of ICI, Council Year 2021, co-opted member of India's Implementation Committee of ICI, member of Accounting and Auditing Committee of BCAS, Bombay Chartered Accountant Society, since 2007, member of Mumbai Study Group for Developing Guidance Note, including revised edition on CARO 2020. He was also co-opted member of Committee on Accounting Standard on Local Body, and he has also served as a member of Accounting Standard Committee of Indian Merchant Chamber. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for taking a valuable time and giving your time for this session.
No, thank you. Yeah.
Now, yes, sir. Now, talking about Siva Prasad, sir. He's also vast experience in the field of audit as well as in GST. Talking about his profile, academic profile, he is a qualified chartered accountant in 2003. He's qualified cost accountant as well in 2009 with securing All India rank 7 at intermediate level and 5th rank at final level. He's also qualified LLB and qualified DISA. He has also done certification course on GST by ICI. Talking about the professional experience, he has performed central statutory audit of various public sector undertaking. He has performed central statutory audit of public sector banks as well. Contributing to the profession, he has conducted departmental training program to Guntur, Eluru, and Vijayawada division of Central GST Department. Conducted departmental training program to all the circles of the Andhra Pradesh State GST Department in the area of input, refund, appeal, and annual returns. Conducted a corporate training program to various big corporates. He has also performed various seminars specific to government sector entity of state government of Andhra Pradesh. He was also a guest faculty of Acharya Nagarjuna University and ICFAI on subject financial instrument and derivative. He has represented before AAR, that is Advanced Ruling Authorities, State of Andhra Pradesh, State of Telangana, represented before the Andhra Pradesh State Tribunal of Sales Tax, Visakhapatnam, and DC Appeal at Vijayawada, Tirupati. He is also co-founder of various startups like AnyAudit.in, SkillUp.co.in, CollabNote.com, TaxResearch.in, SahityaSarda.com, Sadguru Audit and GRC Solution Private Limited. Thank you so much, Siva Sarda sir, for taking your time also and sharing your insightful analysis. We are going to learn a lot from this session. Thank you so much. Now it's time to hand over the stage to our first speaker of the session, CA Paris Clerk, sir, to share his session. Yes, sir. Sir,
You're on mute, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Amit, for introduction. Nice introduction. This subject, which is, I think, becoming or gaining more importance, and not only audit documentation, all standards on auditing are required to be added to more than, I would not say more than, but gains an equal importance as accounting standards or Ind AS. Okay. With this, I will share my screen and give a presentation. Yeah. So, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'll move to the slideshow. Yeah. Fine. So that's my screen. So we are on audit documentation, mainly for enhancing the quality of the audit. The questions which could always be posed to anyone, that how important is the audit documentation for any audit? First we look at the regulatory authorities who have been dealing with, or you need to come across when you are an auditor. So, of course, the institute, NEFRA, SEBI, CAG, Companies Act requirements, and of course, ROC also requires us to carry out an audit based on their reports, like introduction by MCA, audit trail maintenance. So ROC, of course, do an or audit documentation or audit inspection, etc. And there are inquiries from RBI, CBI. For all that, regulatory authorities require one to have these audit documentations in place. So from ICSI, as you know, everybody requires, every auditor requires a peer review to be done. Even SQC1 needs to be complied with. Code of ethics are there. Quality Review Board, FRRB, and now you have another aspect of audit quality maturity model. Now, all these aspects ultimately will want you that your audit documentation are in place as required, and as an auditor one needs to maintain. So always the question is, if you have carried out an audit, then how one knows that you have done the audit as required under standards on auditing? And therefore, the audit documentation is the proof that how exactly the audit has been carried out. And generally it is said, and one of my friends always say, that do what you write and write what you do. So that's most important, because if work done, if not documented, then it is as good as not done. So therefore, it is very important that we have the audit documentation is in place. You have SA 230, which deals with audit documentation, and it defines the record of audit procedures performed, relevant audit evidence obtained, and conclusion drawn. all these, one may term it as working papers. So if one wants to, really divide your audit work into audit planning, audit implementation, and audit reporting. So this is how one will have to look at the audit documentation. And more so from a statutory requirement, even I'll take it up a little later, is the requirement under Chartered Accountants Act. Now it says also the due diligence, not only the gross negligence, whether does not exercise due diligence, which is also important when we are on the audit documentation. So objective of the auditor is to prepare documentation that provides a sufficient and appropriate record of the basis of audit report. So what you conclude, what are the basis on which you have concluded on your audit report, and do you have a sufficient and appropriate audit evidence? So this is a key phrase in the entire audit process: sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. So evidence that audit was planned and performed as per all standards on auditing and applicable legal requirements. So, do what you write means your audit program is the start, so assist engagement team in planning and performing. So when you plan an audit, now you may, sometimes tell your team, okay, go and please carry out the audit. But then you have not guided them. You have to give them a proper audit program. Even sometimes, examples which I'm trying to give, you go and discuss with the auditee team also. And you do not minute, because when you go for an audit, you will ask them that what are the new transactions or the major transactions which have taken place before even commencement of audit, and what is the status of the transaction which we took place in the previous audit. But these are never noted, these are never minuted. So, even when you do planning, even you prepare a program, before that, your engagement team, your discussion with the engagement team, all aspects should be documented. So it's assist in supervision and direction. So evident of audit planning, as I just said, and it assists in quality control review, because as you are aware, that quality control review is also must. You shouldn't be issuing an audit report unless a quality control review is carried out. And therefore, without audit documentation, even quality control reviewer may find it difficult or rather impossible to clear the audit procedure which has been adopted. It creates accountability also, because when you have written it down, then you are accountable. You are well aware that what processes you have followed, what conclusion you have drawn, why you have drawn those conclusions. Then record matters of continuing significance, evidence of basis for conclusion about achievement of overall objective, and assist internal inspection. As we said, that many regulatory authorities also come into play for at one point of time or the other, for one reason or the other. And that time, these external inspection play, your audit documentation play an important role for the external inspection. So that, broadly at a macro level, I gave you an idea what is the use of audit documentation. And as I said, preparation of sufficient, appropriate audit documentation on a timely basis. This is very important, that documentation also should get over on a timely basis. You can't complete those documentation much after the audit is done. If it is done on a timely basis, the quality is enhanced, because when you write down something what you have done, you may be able to even visualize that, okay, no, probably this was not done as could be appropriate, and you may revisit the area which is done. So it is definitely enhances quality. It works as a, this is never written in any standard, etc., but it works as a relay, for a relay system. Somebody who is taking up in the audit in the next year, they will have an idea that how exactly the audit was carried out or needs to be carried out. So that is enhancing quality of the audit, facilitates effective review and evaluation of audit evidence obtained. So, and conclusion reach. So it enables you to review time to time whatever the audit evidences are obtained. Unless it is documented, you will not be able to evaluate them also in a proper manner. Documentation prepared after audit work performed is likely to be less accurate. I mean, if you have not done it on a time basis, of course, it will not be as accurate, because, then it is like a makeshift arrangement which we are doing for those documentation. So, audit documentation in a timely manner is very helpful. And therefore, I would say that, audit tools which could be available would be very much helpful. And of course, you have the next session by Mr. Shiva on any audit, and that could guide you that how exactly in a timely manner an audit documentation can be done. So auditor form, content, and extent of audit. So as you need to prepare, which we have discussed, that the documentation should be in such a manner that any experienced auditor, even if has not got any connection with that particular audit, would understand when looks at the file that the nature and timing and extent of the audit procedure performed, whether all essays have been complied with, or whether legal and regulatory requirements also have been complied with. The results of audit procedures performed and audit evidence obtained. So the gamut of audit procedures to be performed and audit evidence is obtained can be looked at from the documentation. And whatever significant matters arising during the audit, conclusion reach, and professional judgment made in reaching those conclusions are also available to an experienced auditor. So this is, many times we also tell our assistant when they are working that whenever they carry out an audit program is a guide, but at the same time, whatever areas which one looks at it, they should prepare a note for the area which they have looked at it, how exactly they have carried out audit, what exactly is that peculiar transactions are, or even standard transaction, what and how those standard transactions are. So size and complexity of the entity, which will determine the form and content, the nature of audit procedures to be performed, the identified risk of material misstatement. You need to look at it, which industry you are carrying out an audit, what are the areas there could be of a risk, and significance of audit evidence obtained, in nature and extent of exceptions identified. Would there be any exceptions of the evidence not available? Or if there is one level of evidence not available, internal evidence is not available, would there be external evidence available? Is external evidence superior to internal evidence? All these factors will have to be looked into. The need to document a conclusion or the basis of conclusion. See, ultimately, for every major transaction or all the transaction, you are giving an audit opinion that financial statements reflect a true and fair view. Now, before arriving at a conclusion, you need to see that all the transactions which have been audited, all the transactions which have taken place, and their audit procedures have been done, and then you came to this conclusion. So your document will prove that whatever conclusion you have arrived at on the financial statements and all the major transactions or even a regular transaction which have taken place are reflected true and fair view. The audit methodology and tools used in data analytics, that also would be required. So I think this is more or less on the same line. And mainly this is dealt with in Asset 220 also, that each working paper should be available for review. Not necessarily, but to the extent of reviewer, this would also be required. So identifying characteristic of items tested, if sampling is used, then how exactly the sampling is used, what processes have been applied for that. Then what should be included in documentation and what should not be included in documentation. So discussion on significant matters, as I said, notes should be prepared for whatever significant transactions which have taken place, how exactly those have been addressed, not restricted to records prepared by the auditor. So it is not only what your records are, but it would include many other documents which you have taken as audit evidence while carrying out the audit. Minutes prepared by client and agreed by auditor. So many discussions take place during the course of the audit, and those also should be minuted and kept on record. How alternative audit procedures achieve aim of the requirement. Let's say, for an example, that you have sent the external evidences, external confirmation for debtors, and somehow you have not been able to achieve all the confirmation. Then what process you have followed? Alternative audit procedure of, say, subsequent clearances or thorough audit ledger scrutiny, so as to arrive at the conclusion that of the aging or the balances of trade receivable. Reasons for the departure, report to draw attention to the departure. If there is any deviation is there or departure is there, then why that departure in audit process or even view taken should be documented. Superseded drafts of working papers and financial statements. So that need not be. All the superseded drafts should be not part of audit documentation. Incomplete notes. Many times, audit team writes down a lot of queries. Many times they write down in rough, and then they are not being made fair. So those incomplete notes cannot form part of the audit documentation. Some preliminary thinking, thought process are there, which also need not be part of the audit documentation. Duplicate documents should be avoided. Previous copies of documents corrected. All that should be not part of the documents. Review notes and disposal of review notes. So all that, the one which are not required should be eliminated. So types of files, I think permanent audit file and current audit file would be required. The list of permanent audit file and current audit file now, I think everybody should be well aware. And what you need to make changes in those audit file also, and whether those changes are permitted or not permitted. So sorting, collating, cross-referencing of working papers is possible and should be done, and that is permitted. This is subsequent to your audit sign-off, signing off on completion of checklist, documentation of discussion with engagement team before date of the audit report, deleting and discarding superseded documents. What is not permitted as a general no changes are, as a general rule, no changes are permitted to audit file post the sign off. No deletion, discarding permitted after final assembly, except for example to clarify existing documentation arising from internal and external inspection. And therefore, these what changes are to be done, not changes are to be done. Audit documentation, and when audit tool is there, that would enable you to track that as well. So timing of audit documentation, on a timely basis, assembly of the final audit file should not ordinarily take more than 60 days after the date of report, and retention of these files is for 7 years from the date of the audit report. Ownership of the documents, unless otherwise specified, audit is the property of the auditor. The auditor may, at his discretion, make portions or extract from the audit documentation. It is always a property of audit document. Here, one practical issue which I may indicate, that many times those files remain with clients, or in the not so much in the custody, but at clients' premises, which also should be minimized or avoided, or should not be, must be avoided. Yeah. So frequently found errors in audit documentation. No self-speaking working papers should be there. No reference to supporting documentation in the audit program. So all these are the observations for either FRRB or QRB. Not documentation expectation for planning analytics, not communicating significant deficiency or material weaknesses to those charged with governance, performing walkthrough at the end of an engagement rather than the beginning, bulky clients documents attached file without corresponding references, reliance on management representative without applying professional skepticism. This is very important. We can't take management representation as end of the solution of an issue which could have arisen. So therefore, professional skepticism should also be applied before even taking an view on the issues. There are many more errors which are being noticed. There's a lot of things which is still short or lacking in audit documentation. Lack of documentation and audit quality, key root cause, improper human resource allocation. Yeah, that's the challenge which every firm faces. Either the strength or the quality may result in lack of documentation. No audit manual, system of quality review, employee training and development, lack of awareness and knowledge of standards on auditing, accepting assignment below cost. Now, this is a challenge which every firm also faces, that audit tries to treat this audit with not a, is a sort of a compliance, and therefore we are pressurized to work at a very lower fees, so that also you do not, or not in position to deploy a human resource accordingly, so as to charge the fees, so as to work and give a justice to the audit. Non-updation of technology. Now, this is very important takeaway which I want to address to everybody, that we ought to be adopting technology as fast as possible and as robust as possible, so that our audit documentation can, the objective also can easily be achieved. Client knowledge not updated, deadline knocking the doors of CAs. You are all aware how these timelines are disturbing us. Timelines disturb us time and again. And many times you also observe that the clients are not ready. Clients do not realize that what is the importance which we need to have on audit. And therefore, these are the reasons why we face the issue. So changing landscape, yes, time has changed. It is not what many years ago, which we were doing audit, is expected now. We all need to change. There are regulatory authorities. There are a lot of compliance issues. The expectation gap also is there, and therefore we should, somebody would say that we should act, whether as a bloodhound or a watchdog or whatever. We have to be an auditor, and that is what even NEFRA is trying to suggest, that be an auditor. And NEFRA has also listed quite a few points for an auditor in their audit documentation. You should also look at FRRB publications from time to time. You have a peer review. Peer reviewer requirements are there, which also would enable us to know what kind of documentations are, or how these documentation should be maintained. Class action suits are there. So all this is to be considered, which is changing, and importance of audit documentation is increasing. Specific audit documentation as per SQC1, engagement letter, understanding the entity and environment, evaluation of internal control, so on and so forth. All these are the audit documentation. I think when Mrs. Shiva takes you through the tool on any audit, you'll have good idea about those checklists and things like that. So auditor's responsibility is enhanced, because I was asked to comment on audit trail. So what we need to report on, as per MCA, and this becomes very, very important. And you may have looked at many reports recently issued, and there have been comments on the audit trail, and also leading to a comment as to the manner of maintaining books of account. So whether the audit trail feature is configurable, whether the audit trail feature was enabled, operated throughout the year. So this is very important. Whether all transactions recorded in the software are covered in the audit trail feature, and whether the audit trail has been preserved as per statutory requirements for recorded intention. While on the subject, I need to tell everyone and need everyone to examine one major aspect, that whether all transactions recorded in the software are covered in the audit trail feature. Now, broadly, not that I'm trying to say anything in detail, but broadly, one need to examine audit trail not only on a software level, but even at a database level. So software per se may have an audit trail, but database level is becoming a challenge, and most of the reports recently issued have commented on availability or otherwise of audit trail on database. So all those who are now going to look at those audit, and of course the institute also had guided that audit trail need to be examined even at the database level. And this has become a very big challenge. I think that is what I want you to note and make sure that that is taken care of. Otherwise, an appropriate reporting is done. NEFRA, as you're aware, it's organized and established in accordance with Section 132. It was set up as an independent regulatory organization, and audit quality review by NEFRA records in written form backed by pre-existing evidence from the audit file. Number of instances observed in audit quality review for non-availability of audit documentation. NAFRA time to time gives a report. Peer review board also has identified certain discrepancies. So non-compliance of standards on auditing, working papers not arranged, no practice of issuing engagement letter, no separation of permanent and current audit file, so on and so forth. So, there is a lot of things which are yet missing, which even our peer review board has observed. Then some of the disciplinary proceedings also institute has observed that documentation verified, but nowhere reference was made in the working papers. Conduct of an audit without checking necessary documents. No sufficient and appropriate evidence was obtained for expressing an opinion. External confirmation not obtained in doubtful cases, and that's more so important. No documentation based on which legal opinion evaluation done and conclusion drawn. Audit evidence obtained without sampling methodology. No reporting and documentation done on going concern assumption. So yes, as we say, changing landscape of regulatory recent developments, enhancing reporting requirements. We initially we had our main report under 143.3. You have a CARO report, which is in detail. We have to report on even IFC, on financial statements. So the reporting requirements also increases. Now, from this year, you have to comment on audit trail as well. So, it is very important for us to meet these reporting requirements and at the same time focus on quality, because the regulatory is insisting and emphasizing on quality as well as independence of auditor. Digital transformation is happening. Even I would say from the auditee, their volumes have increased significantly. So simultaneously, our responsibility also enhances. So strengthening of regulatory oversight. Of course, now sustainability also has come into play. So sustainability reporting also is a very good area for us as practitioner coming into play. So this is where we are. I think I have exceeded my time, but I hope I have covered most of the aspect. I wanted to share what SEBI has said in respect of audit documentation. Maybe while Mr. Shiva is on his presentation, if I can, if required, I'll just make a mention of it. I'll stop sharing my slide. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for sharing such a valuable insights on the audit documentation, recent changes in the regulatory framework and NAFRA as well. So since you have already covered all the topics in the session, which I was going to ask you as a question, I have three questions to ask, sir.
Yeah, sure.
So, sir, what in your opinion could be the major discrepancies usually find in the audit documentation, and what are the root cause of them?
No, as I covered in my slide, root cause is human resource, work allocation, and it is coupled with the fees which we all are being paid. And as far as the discrepancy is concerned, kind of documentation, I give a simple example, like people write first queries in rough, as I mentioned, then that is never made fair. Okay. But if you have a software, then all these is There's nothing as rough. Everything is noted, indicated. But otherwise, in our paper and pen way of writing queries, sometimes a lot of queries are written in rough and they have never been then documented. They may have been solved, they may not have been solved. So we are not aware also. The reviewer, as well, quality reviewer, and even a partner or a manager who is reviewing audit would not know okay, what has been looked into. Yeah.
Okay. And so last question, with your vast experience as a practicing CA, what is your advice to our professional brothers and sisters regarding this audit documentation?
Yeah, I think there is no, what I had, I always say there is no substitute for hard work. Okay.
Yes.
So we'll all have to, give more of our ability to carry out an audit. And I honestly tell you that it is imbibing probably every human being that okay, calm ho gaya and why bother about now documentation, So now that documentation also should be part of your work. It's not that your conclusion is important. It is how you have arrived at conclusion is important and it has to be addressed to. Okay,
Right.
so and adoption of technology.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
That
Thank you so
that's
much, sir.
it's going to be prime, and of course the qualitative staff, and again I repeat the charging of fees.
Please.
We all should be together and see to it that fees are charged. In fact, at institute level or even at any other level, there could be though we have the minimum scale of charging the fees, but we should be able to
Follow.
make this somewhere mandatory that okay, the auditee also is expected to pay minimum fees of this, irrespective. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Now we are proceeding to hand over the stage to Sir Prasad, sir, for sharing very valuable insights on how we can leverage our leverage audit automation tool for comprehensive assurance function via any audit automation tool. Thank you so much, sir. Please, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Amit ji, for this opportunity and to speak after the speech of Paresh Clark sir is like is a big task. But anyway, the presentation on the technical parts, the requirements is over. Now that my job is in fact shared by sir to a great extent. Now, I am just sharing, before I go into the presentation, it is more like a demonstration of what we have discussed so far. So we have seen what is documentation, how do we do that, and what are the challenges. So as rightly said, the documentation has to be on a real-time basis. Audit as such is happening post-mortem. The kind of the fee we get and the kind of the time we are allowed to work. So these two are major constraints. So unless there is some sort of a real-time system which captures the audit findings, which captures the way the audit is planned and executed, right from planning to the sign-off stage. Unless there is a continuous real-time system, the documentation part of that is not over. So in fact, the solution in documentation is to move away from documentation and to see that there is some sort of a mechanism that automates that. So that was the exact brief with which the present tool that I'm going to present is based on. So, are you able to see the screen, sir? Just confirm once.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. So this is about any audit. The name of the tool is any audit, and it is a theme. Here it allows the user to present and work on any sort of an audit mechanism. So how is that possible? It is an open-ended audit maintenance system. So therefore you can define the way the audit has to be done, and you can write the rules with which the auditing has to progress. You can templatize the audit wherever possible. So that way irrespective of the type of the audit, whether it is statutory, internal, GST audit, income tax audit, or even some sort of any other regulatory framework also can be done in this. So therefore, it is not stopping with digitization. Digitization is only the first part, the building, the baby steps of the process. In fact, the major call is automation. Okay. So how is this going to automate? Let us take area by area, and maybe whatever the SQCs are saying and whatever the audit standard SA 230 is saying, whatever Paresh sir had covered in the earlier speech, so that I try to demonstrate as much as possible in the given time. Okay, of course, it is not a workshop kind of a thing, hands-on kind of a thing. So I just take the help of the data that is already existing. Yeah. So the major departure from the conventional system to an automated system is that in a conventional system, not documented is not done. So though the work is performed, if it is not documented somewhere, then there is no proof of doing that for the future times to come. Okay. Whereas if on an audit platform, on an audit software like any audit, if it is done, it is documented because the very doing is happening on the software. So the moment you say, let us say materiality, the moment the materiality had been defined, the documentation of materiality is over. Okay. And not only that, the moment I raise a finding, the documentation of the finding and the consequential effect of that is over. So therefore, it is on a real-time basis, done is documented. And that does not make any audit a documentation tool. It is a platform to execute the audit itself per se. So therefore, we are actually performing the audit on the platform. So therefore, documentation, working paper generation, work allocation, generating MIS reports, these becomes an incidental outflow or the output of the system. So therefore, when we execute and as and when it is executed, it is getting documented, and that is the only solution for us to maintain with the documentation requirements of all of these NEFRAs and peer review, QRP, and other regulatory framework. Okay, so with this brief of what any audit is, so there is an all-round automation. There is automation in planning, there is automation in execution, there is automation in reporting, there is automation in drafting. So let us see how this can be done through a practical example and demonstration so that it is very easy to relate it, whatever had been said. So I just log into the system, and this is how the system looks like. And I'm just concentrating around documentation because this is not a workshop or a training kind of a thing where I can have the liberty of time to go through each of them, how it works. So I just take one of the assignments here as a in order to demonstrate. In fact, it is a tool for any audit. That is the name of it. So then I can build an internal audit in this. I can build a GST audit in this. I can build around a statutory audit in this. So just for the purpose of relatability to everyone and to stress upon the importance of the documentation, I'm just taking statutory audit as an example. So I'm taking statutory audit of ABC Limited for the purpose of demonstration. Okay. Now, in the previous slide, sir had covered about what is included in audit documentation and what is not. Okay. So the audit starts with audit planning, and we should have a continuous mechanism to know what has been delivered, what has been allocated to each of the people. So this is how the interface looks like to indicate how many open items are there, how many pending items are there. And the most operative part and the impersonal part is a planner. That is where the audit has to start. Okay. Now, when I go to planner, so these are all the steps that are to be performed in a given audit assignment. So right from, you can see here, it was broken down in a chapter milestone framework in a hierarchical framework. So the first chapter is acceptance. The second chapter is scope of engagement. The next one is planning. And then we go on to go for review of financial statements. And then evaluation of internal control. So like that, there is a seriatim, there is a one by line steps of the audit plan. How this plan had been drafted. Is it drafted manually? The answer is no. Okay. Here, I just want to demonstrate the power of automation. There are multiple audit templates available in the system, and the user can also configure the audit template that he wants. So here at the top, I'm just borrowing one of the templates. So if I say import a template, and I select the name of the template that I want to go with, like for example, it's a statutory audit of Division 1 entity. The moment I select the statutory audit division 1, the system will draft the entire audit plan as per the requirement, as per all the requirements. See, there is no one requirement. Schedule 3, you have to oblige Schedule 3. And obviously it is a company, therefore Companies Act requirements are there. Apart from that, auditing standard requirements are there. And because of financial statements has to go through certain framework, there will be a requirement of accounting standards thereon. So all the steps, right from the planning to the end, all of those steps will be drafted by the system automatically. So what all the user has to do is simply select a template that he has to work on. That's it. Okay. So let us say I'm selecting tax audit. The moment I select a tax audit template and submit, the system will run all the steps that are to be done on a tax audit. So in this use case, I have taken this template, statutory audit division 1 as an example. If I take division 2, it will draft me the template for Ind AS based assignments. So this is not restricted to one sort of an audit. As I said, it is an open-ended audit planning device. So that way, what had happened is the system had pre-built in one single step without just in 1 minute or so, the whole audit plan had been written. You can see here on the screen, there is an appointment letter, there is an independence confirmation, and then there is a no objection to be obtained from the previous auditor. So all of these drafts, documents have been borrowed from the library. Now, are they simply borrowed or are they auto-filled? The next question, because it takes a lot of time for us to fill them up. We need not fill them up. Like I take one of the examples, no objection to be obtained from the previous auditor. So you see here, there is a no objection letter to be obtained. And in this case, to Mr. Narayan and co, then the text had been drafted by the system. So how the system is drafting the steps for me or the text for me? Simple. There is one division called fact finding or collection of facts. So if I go and fetch the facts here, like what is the type of the company I am auditing? What is the name of the firm? That is our firm, the auditor's name. And then who is a previous auditor? So the moment I fetch these details and what is the date of AGM? You can see here there is a date of AGM. So the date of AGM. The moment I fetch the date of AGM here, what happens is by these previous auditor's name and then the date of AGM or the name of the previous auditor, name of the engagement partner and all the drafts, right from independence confirmation, engagement letter to the last step, to the even to the extent of management representation letter. What happens is, to the extent possible, I'm not stating that it is simply copied and pasted. What I mean to say, wherever these texts have been used, all of them are all filled up by the system. So just within few minutes, we are in a position to draft the appropriate audit plan, point number 1. And then by the facts that we have given at some settings kind of a corner, those facts will be pre-filled into every one of the steps. Now, coming to documentation, there is no requirement of documentation at all. As I said, because we are following a software, the moment I fill the system, like if I go to SA210, there is a checklist to be filled. So this is SA210. There is a checklist to be filled on agreeing on the terms of engagement. Now, the moment I fill the answers here and I say generate a document, the system will generate the documentation in a format prescribed by institute exactly. Now, if I go here, there is a PDF that is downloaded. You can see the name of the company, the auditor here, the name of the company that we are auditing, and then the working paper references are auto-generated by the system. And then each of the questions and the remarks that are obtained by the people. Okay. Which is conventionally impossible. As I said in the previous session, it is not the superseded documents or the discarded documents or not an up-to-date documents. There is no point in keeping up all of them in the document file. It has to be updated. The moment we fill it in a software, it is naturally up to date because we are taking the position on a real-time basis. And the same applies for everything in the planner. Like you take any of these checklists, or you take any of these evaluations, or you take the determination of the materiality, right from the planning stage to the MRL, to the last sign-off, every document can be generated from out of the system on a real-time basis. Okay, we can even consolidate them at a chapter level and take a bulk printout as well. So therefore, the major pain point of the auditors is how do we plan? How do we plan? And how do we generate the documentation of that? Okay. Now, so far, it is a little better than a manual, but still manual, it looks like. Now, while executing an audit, we have to evaluate lot of conditions of applicability. Like in this case, it is a private limited company, and we are doing the statutory audit thereof. So therefore, we have to evaluate various provisions of Companies Act because it is under a audit under the Companies Act. Had it been a bank, it is under Banking Regulation Act and so on. Now, I have to evaluate lot of decisions that are applicable to this given case. So how do I evaluate them? Like whether the internal audit is applicable to this entity, whether audit committee is applicable to this entity, whether some appointment of key managerial personnel and then their what are all the statutory provisions under various laws that are applicable to the company. If we need not worry about that because it is coming from a software. What happens is if I go to my decisions, each of the decision that is applicable to this particular case, like you can see here, whether Caro is applicable, the answer is yes. Whether filing of 99 is applicable, the answer is yes. To have an independent auditor, the answer is yes. Maybe some of them are no. Like you can take stakeholder relationship committee under section 178 of Companies Act is not applicable. Why is it not applicable? Because there could be some reason. Here you see it is applicable only when they have more than 1000 shareholders and debentures, which is not applicable in the case. Now, how the system evaluates? Again, going back, I said in the first screen, we have collected certain facts. We have collected certain facts. So the maximum may be 1 to 50 in number. By filling up those facts, what are all the relevant provisions that are applicable to a particular given case? They are evaluated by the system. Not only that, they are documented. Not only that, the consequential action, like if Caro is applicable, then we have to issue a Caro, and to do that, we require a checklist to be filled or a process to be followed. Here in this case, ICOFR is applicable 134(5) of Companies Act. So therefore, the internal control framework report and the checklists and the questionnaires that enable us to come to that, all of them are pre-built by the system automatically. So therefore, every audit is done differently based on the facts. It is not like there is one checklist, like we take it in Excel and then we find it and then we fill it. That is a simple digitization. That is what I said in my opening remarks. It is not stopping with the digitization. It is extending to automation. Okay. So the value add of the automation is just by giving certain facts, all the applicable decisions are being evaluated by the system. Still, we are in planning, of course. And now, how do we document the way we have evaluated? Like you see on screen, there are about 16 applicabilities that are evaluated by the auditor. Okay. In no time, I started it just in 3 minutes. I'm able to complete the evaluation of all of them. Now, how do I document? First, you can access this documentation button in every screen. And if you click on that, it will generate the documentation of all of the decisions that are evaluated by the auditor in this particular assignment. Now, for this ABC, we have evaluated 16. How the 16 are evaluated, the necessary conditions that are like whether the turnover exceeded 50 crore or not, is it a listed company or not. So all of those facts are also documented by the system. And then most importantly, the format of the documentation, that is very important. ICAI had recently released a working paper template format. So you can see on the left-hand side, client assignment, chapter and milestone. And on right-hand side, who had prepared, reviewed and signed off, along with the cross working paper references. So all of them are auto-generated. So only thing we have to do on the system is, just fetch the facts that are required to enable the system to evaluate all of these regulatory requirements. Okay. So just relating it back, just by borrowing a proper template, and then that is our step 1, borrow the suitable template. So what is the kind of the audit that I'm going to perform in this? Just a second. AC. power. There is some technical glitch, maybe. 1 second. I just swap my. Are you able to hear me, sir? Yeah, yeah. Fine. It resumed. So there is some swap of Wi-Fi in our office, no issue. So just by selecting the appropriate template, like if I'm doing a bank audit, so select the branch audit of a bank. And just by selecting an appropriate template, the system will draw up the plan. And just by filling the facts, it will evaluate the decisions and it will also pre-fill the drafts to the best possible extent. So that is one part of the documentation of, or one part of the execution of the audit. As I said, we are executing, and as a consequence, the documentation is happening. Okay. Now, next and the most important part is how do we collect the data of the client? Okay, how do we collect the data of the client and how do we pick up the samples out of it or start the execution thereof? So it enables two kinds of collection of data. One is the financial statement data and the other is a raw discrete data. So by raw and a discrete data, what we mean is, so all of the data need not come from the daybook or the books of accounts. So there could be a lot of subsidiary record. Like there is a fixed asset register, which is outside the books. And then the sum total of that was fed into the accounting package. Or it could be list of vendors, or it could be list of sales orders that are there. So it could be any sort of a discrete data not forming part of the financial statement, or it could be the data that is forming part of the financial statement. So we have two ways to capture the data. Obviously, the most and important thing is to capture the financial statement data. So I'm going into that. Now I'm going into the division of financial statement preparation. Now we are in step 2. Yeah, again, there was some glitch. Just give me a moment. ACL. Yeah, here I'm going to collect the data of the client, and that is of financial statements. So I'm going into the financial statements, and there are a lot of options available in the financial statements you can see here. So one, I can collect the trial balance in a day book. I can build the chart of accounts, and then I can map them up in the chart of accounts. So let us just go screen by screen. I can't do it because it takes time to evaluate and then draw it. So I'm just demonstrating it like the process, how it goes. Now here, there is a trial balance and I can upload any number of trial balances. There could be multi-division entities or multi-department entities. So I can upload any number of trial balances. The moment I upload the trial balance or a day book, what happens is the total data dump will be uploaded into the system. So how can I do that? If it is a tally, we are providing when any audit provides a plugin for uploading of tally. So here I can upload the data as a JSON that was generated out of tally, or else I can also do it as a plain Excel format, which is the most common and then available with everyone. The moment I upload this, my trial balance is ready. And for each of the line items, to which financial statement it has to go based on the framework. Now, in this case, it follows IGAP. Now, if it is a division 2 entity, it follows Ind AS. It doesn't matter. So if we map it to the balance sheet, what happens is it will prepare the financial statements in the format of that particular framework. Okay. Here it is The preparation of the financials is more from an angle of auditing thereof. Now, what happens is I have obtained the data, I have obtained the tally data, and I have uploaded here. So therefore, my daybook is available here. And for any of these line items, like if I click on this Arvind Yadav, what are all the ledgers that are there in this particular account, I will be able to see in the system itself. Now, on this particular data, I can analyze all of them. I can analyze the data in the daybook or in any discrete data with all the powerful analytics that are loaded into this accounting or into this auditing package. Okay, so there are a lot of things that can be done here. I can analyze it the way I want, and I can sample it out, and I can also perform the audit action thereof. So therefore, it is an end-to-end integration. You're collecting the data here and also analyzing the data on multiple fronts. So without the help of any technical ability to write a formula in Excel, just by graphical interface, I can analyze any sort of a data. So let me take, these are only 2 records. Let me take a bigger data set, maybe the fixed assets, or maybe I'll take a bigger data set. So here there are a lot of data sets. Data points are there. You can see on screen there are about 1,000. Now I want to analyze this. How can I analyze and how can I pick up the appropriate sample? So I can do it either by qualitative analysis, that is non-statistical, or on a quantitative basis, that is statistical. So the system provides both of them. Like for example, qualitatively, I just want to analyze where from the data is coming up and what are the risks under each of those line items of the data. Okay, so I want to score it up for a risk, or I want to analyze this. So I'll build on with a basic example. Like for example, I want to know how many assets are there under each of the category. So there is a bivariate analysis here, which will help us to analyze the data easily. So I'm putting asset category on one side and cost of purchase on another side. So I'll be able to see, oh, there everything is in fixed asset. What is the name of this? Name, okay. So I'm selecting name of the category on one side and cost of purchase on another. So I'll be able to see how the data is spread. Like in buildings, I have got 78 records and computer equipment, 110 records. So just, I need not write a pivot table. I need not sum if, I need not do any sort of a formula. Just by, on a graphical user interface, just by selecting appropriate columns, I will be able to analyze the data appropriately. Similarly, all of these are various analytical tools that are provided. Like for example, I can stratify the data. So our auditing standard says for risk, how can you evaluate the sample? And the sampling, what it says is we have to analyze the data and broke it down into until the risk is, or until the data points are homogeneous. So therefore, I must analyze the data, like what is the spread of that? Like if I take cost of purchase and I want to break it down into 10 equal buckets, so I'll be able to see how the data is spread. And not only that, I can dig deep into any one of the buckets. Like here, there are 8 items, or here there are some 7 items, which are exceptionally large, very small, but then very, very big, very small in number, but very huge in their quantity. So if I click on that, naturally, the system will apply a filter and I'm going there. So this is all qualitative analysis. I'm not just putting some sort of a brute statistical method on that. Rather, I'm analyzing with my own eyes, with my own professional judgment. Okay, so this is one way of doing that. Okay, not only that, let us say I'm selecting all of them, and let us say all of these sample items carry a risk of being heavy in size or carry a risk of third-party risk. So I want to map them as risky items for my future evaluation. So what I can do is there is a risk icon here. I can map them and I can select the kind of the risk they carry. So it could be a financial risk, it could be risk of omission, it could be third-party risk, it could be any other sort of a risk from our risk library. So let us say I'm saying all of them are carrying a third-party risk of on a magnitude of 1, 2, 5, 4. So what I'm saying to the system is I'm marking all of them as a risky items. And then from out of the risky items, later it enables me to take a sample. So like that, with all of these buttons, countless possibilities are there. and then we can play around that. And the most important of that is the integration with the audit execution. We can do the analysis in a lot of data analytical tools also, like standalone visualization tools also, like Power BI or Tableau. So they are standalone data analysis and visualization tools. A lot of them are not may not be applied by auditor, and what are applied by auditor may be a little technically difficult. Here, they are handpicked. The features that are required for the auditor are handpicked and then put it here. The most important part of that is integration. Now, let us say I'm selecting these 7 records and I want to initiate an audit program thereon. What I can do is just I can click here and I can decide on the kind of the audit that has to be done on that. Like, for example, what is to be done on these 7 I can select. Like, they may be put up for evaluation against a checklist, or they may be put up for evaluation against and process walkthrough, or I may send them for physical inspection, or I may put them under balance confirmation. In each case, the bulk balance confirmations will be sent. Of course, balance confirmation is an appropriate example on receivables. I'll do that. On fixed assets, I'm putting up for a checklist, and the checklist is general verification of the fake checklist. Now I can also decide on who can do or who shall do this and who shall perform. So this is about the work allocation. Like any person sitting in the office can collect the data dump and then can analyze this and can make an appropriate sample and then decide on who has to do what. Like it has to be done by Pravina and later it has to go to the demo in charge. So by this, what I'm saying is I have not only selected the sample, and I am also deciding on an appropriate action. Now, what about documentation? Again, I said documentation is happening behind the screens on a real-time basis. Okay. Whatever the confirmed action that I'm doing, like if I run a query, it is not documented. But if I run a query and the result I am scoping it for some audit program, then it is documented. So at an appropriate and a meaningful stage, the system is documenting everything. And therefore, at the end of the day, if I click on one button, the whole audit documentation end to end will be generated into a binder. Not only that, I can also decide on a calendar so that their timelines and then their calendar, their preoccupation and the present occupation is also mapped. Okay, so if I say scoping, those steps will be scoped, and you can see here the bell icon, which constantly indicates the number of open items on my name. Now I'm scoping it to my own self. Oh, not to me. I scoped it to someone else. Yeah. So this bell icon will indicate me the constantly how much of work is pending on my name. So therefore, the work allocation, the work execution, the planning thereof are all happening in one system, are all happening on one system. Therefore, the documentation becomes seamless. Okay. Now, how about the statistical methods? So far we discussed about analyzing the data to see about their qualities, like how much risk they carry or where from they are, whether they are from a related party. Now, what happens if they are from a related party? I can make a data set in my as a related party, and I can run a lookup. So from the lookup, I can select the source data set. And if I select the source data set from a related party, it will automatically identify all the transactions from the related party from the data. Okay. Now let me go take a 1 minute on the statistical methods that can be followed. Like if I take the whole data and run a random sampler, so there are a lot of options available here, how I can pick up a data sample. Let us say from each category of asset, I require 3 items to be picked up as a sample. So it will pick up 3 data points from every kind of a asset or from every kind of a category. I can select on any of the parameters. Now here in case I'm just selecting it based on a category. So what the system had done is statistically it had analyzed the data. From buildings it had picked 3, from computer equipment it had picked up 3, and then those samples are picked up, and I can put it for any sort of an audit action. Okay. Now going back to where we started, we have gone to financial statements. We have collected the trial balance and uploaded it here. And once the trial balance had been uploaded and the daybook had been uploaded, you can upload trial balance or the daybook. Of course, analytics is possible only if the daybook is uploaded. If you are uploading only the trial balance, then there is no much data to analyze. So in order for us to analyze the data and then take a sample, you have to upload the daybook. Or in case you are not uploading the daybook, you can upload the discrete data as well. Okay. Now the next question is, another way to analyze the data and another way to document is determination of the materiality. Okay. So there is a screen in the system, there is a screen in the software for determination of materiality. I can go and decide on the materiality here. Okay. Now, the benchmarks that are applicable for materiality, like turnover, PBT, they are all drawn from the trial balance that was uploaded. What the user has to simply do is select an appropriate base and also select an appropriate factor. So let us say I want to go with 1% on turnover as my materiality. What all I have to do is just go to gross turnover and put 1% there. That's it. So if I want to base it on multiple factors, I can do that. Or if I want to go with my single factor, I can do that. So let us say I want to go with 1% of gross turnover or 1% of net worth, whichever is lower as my materiality. So what all the user has to give is just plug in these two numbers, 1 and 1. That's it. My data is done. And then the system had automatically calculated the planning, performance, and the triviality materialities thereof. Okay. So just in no time, I'm not only document. In fact, I'm actually calculating the materiality and complying with the system. Okay. Now, so far, just we have decided on a materiality. What is a value add that the system can do? Because I have done or I have defined the materiality, now the system will be in a position to analyze what are all the material class of transactions for me that are to be scoped for the audit. Now, if I go to my financial statements, every number that is above the materiality threshold had been colored here, colored for material MCOTAB, material class of transactions. So that way, the system is capturing the definition of materiality that I have given elsewhere, and it is in fact putting it to action. It is in fact doing a lot of work on that. Not only that, let us say if there is you can see here the adjusted and unadjusted misstatements that are found in the audit. In case the adjusted and unadjusted misstatements found in the audit are exceeding the materiality level, the system will automatically turn them into red as well. So this is a classic example of compliance with auditing standards. So compliance with auditing standards is not taking a checklist on an auditing standard and say that it is done and not done. In fact, the spirit of the auditing standard had been captured in the program. And now filling up of a checklist becomes incidental. Now, if I take a checklist on materiality and say that whether you have defined the materiality, I can say that yes, there is an inbuilt provision in the software and I have taken the factors and it is auto done. So the proof is in the making itself. Okay, so that was the whole concept. It is an execution platform, and because we are executing, the consequential steps are being captured by the system. Now, how the system had turned these, now you can see plant and equipment had turned into red because the materiality defined for plant and machinery is 6,91,000, whereas the sum of unadjusted misstatements found under that particular line item are 3,278. How the system knows that? Because it is an ERP and the misstatements are being fed by the staff somewhere else in a screen, the system is capturing all of them, aggregating them against each line item, comparing it with the materiality, and then when if it breaches that, it is automatically turning into red. Now there could be some cases where if there are certain misstatements might be found, but if they are less than the materiality, it will not turn into red. So let me search if I can get some sort of an example like that. Yeah, here you can see there are misstatements of 4 lakh, but the materiality set is 6 lakh. Of course, the fact that the sum of them is so much had been captured, but still it is in green. Okay, so I need not worry about, the auditor need not worry about the materiality. The auditor need not worry about whether the sum had exceeded or not. The moment I click on that, now as a person looking at this screen, if I want to know the details of what are all the misstatements that are added up to that, I can simply click on that. There is a natural drill down available. So these are all the audit memos that are drafted by someone which had added up to this, which are tagged to this line item and are added up to this. So if I click on that, I'll go to that actual memo, who had raised it. So it was raised by Abhishek, and this is the kind of a finding that was found. Okay, so that way, right from capturing determination of materiality, journal testing, and from the journal testing that we have performed, I can record my audit actions here itself. Okay, just I'm going on for long. I just want to pause here to reflect back any thoughts on how is it going, and can I proceed on that? Hello?
Hello, hello. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for such a great session. Many practitioners, including me as well, used to follow a manual process, for doing the audit, which does not commensurate with the fees that we are receiving. So I'm definitely sure that this tool will going to help a lot. Parisa, do you have any question?
Uh, no, this is a very good tool, in fact, and I think it slightly changes the manner in which you do audit. The tool makes you do audit, if I put it other way around. And yes, some efforts are required, and it is a very good tool. In fact, uh, I would say that we have been using it, and therefore, of course, we have, to be honest, we have not been able to fully implement it. But I have seen this over a period, and I think you can never get a better tool than this for times to come.
So I'll take any specific questions, sir. Otherwise, I can proceed with the other modules of that. Like how do we analyze the data? How do we link it to the rise a memo, link it to the reports and all? Because it was monologously going for long, I just want to pause for a moment.
Yes,
So
Shiva, good. And Shiva, basically, the question which will come in everyone's mind, which was there with us as well, is that if we have a query on vouching, how we write it down, how do we navigate those queries into, final review, etc. So those aspects also you could cover, so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
will be.
I'll take that up. I'll take that up, sir. So the
Yeah.
question is like, how do I make a noting of something that had gone wrong? Okay. And then how do I follow it up? And then how do I see how is it resolved and where is it getting reflected? So that was a question. So I'm just sharing my screen. Yeah. First of all, how do we navigate it? So we can navigate it through normal menu. Like as I said, every step that we perform had a listing of that in a planner. So anything that we want to perform should have been planned and should have been a part of the planning. Of course, lot of planning is done by the system automatically. That is a different story. Now, if I go to the planning, there are multiple chapters. Let me go via chapter view. So if I go to my audit findings, so those are the section where all the audit findings can be there. So a lot of audit findings, like it could be a memo raised by me, it could be finding by others, like if there is a joint audit, or if there is an internal audit, or if there is some sort of other agency like fixed asset verification or somebody or the previous auditor. So any finding that was not made by the auditor, but is considered by the auditor as relevant, can be used in these findings by others. Okay. And there is external communication and internal communication where I can write to the other party. It could be the auditee, or it could be the balance receiver. It could be balance receivables or balance payables. So I can use this external communication to reach out to anybody else. So this is an area, chapter 6 is an area of audit findings. So I can navigate through planner. Okay, come to the planner, and because everything had been listed in the planner, like right from materiality or permanent file, current file, whatever it is, whatever all the steps that are to be done is listed in the audit planner. That is one way to navigate. Because it could be a little roundabout to come to planner and go to that, there is also a feature called direct navigation. There is one keyboard shortcut by name Alt N to navigate to any place. So here I can type wherever I want to go. Like if I want to go to memo. So if I type memo, it will simply bring out all of the options and I can click there and I can go to a memo directly. Okay. So this way, now I am in a memo and I want to go to the materiality screen, which I have just had shown. I can simply press Alt N, and if I type in materiality, I can jump to materiality. So after a little acquaintance with the program, people do love to navigate it this way. Okay. Of course, the old conventional style of left menu, clicking on that, going to audit findings, that is there anyway. So there are multiple ways of navigation for basic users and for the advanced users. Advanced users are like users who are operating on it for some time. After 2 to 3 months of time, they become acquainted and the shortcuts will work for them. Now, the next bigger question is, how do I record a memo? Okay. Now, I will be recording a memo as a part of my vouching verification, or as a part of my filling up of a checklist, or as a part of my balance confirmations, or without doing anything, I can come here and then record a memo directly as well. So let us do both the possibilities. So first, let me take, how do I record a memo directly? So just, I'm going to Planner one more time to start from the scratch. So now I am in a Planner. I can scroll down to audit finding section, which is of course time taking and boring. Rather, I can jump to a direct navigation and type the keyboard shortcut. There is no commands as such. I can simply type whatever I want, plain English, and it will read it out for me. So I'm going to audit memo. So this audit memo, I'm not recording as a part of any audit procedure. Rather, I'm recording as a straight audit memo. Now I can go here, add and memo. I can write down what is my observation, what is my recommendation, and what is the possible consequence here. So that is step one. So I can choose to whom I am putting it up. Of course, in a small scale entity, there are only 2-3 people, but in case of a very bigger entity, there could be multiple people. So I'm putting it up for the approval of Mr. Narsimha, let us say. And in case it is a multi-location entity, from which location or division this particular finding is there, I'm just putting it up. So I'm saying that the management or no provision had been made for interest accrued, for interest expense accrued. So this is my finding. Now, the system also comes with a lot of advanced features. So if you scroll up, these are all advanced features. Because they are advanced features, they are on demand. Like in a sense, only if you click, it will come. Now, right at a stage where I am writing a memo, there itself I can say that this is going to impact my report, final report, and I can select the kind of a report. Of course, all users may not use this, or maybe the first level people like article students may not be in a position to use this. That is a different story. That is what I said. This is a basic memo and these are the advanced features. Now I'm accessing that it is going to affect my 3CD. And in my form 3CD, which paragraph it is going to affect. So I can select that kind of a paragraph right from here itself. So let us say it is going to affect my Caro, and in my Caro, I'm going for the relevant paragraph. Just for the sake of time, I'm just choosing some random thing like deposits accepted by the company. So this way I can record my memo. Okay. Now, I record a memo, it will naturally go to the one who is charged with this particular head of the assignment. So the head of the assignment screen, it will naturally pop up. Now you can see the bell icon. It will always have the number of pending items and the head of the assignment. So in his screen, he will be able to see that this memo had been raised and you are to take a view on this. So let us see how his screen will look like. So his screen will look like this. So no provision has been made for interest expense accrued. Now this screen is like response and finalization. I have to take a call on this. So what call I can take? So the software had listed down every possible call of action to be taken by the audit head. Like the call of action could be put it in permanent file. The call of action could be put it in current file. The call of action could be draw a conclusion that has to go into the final audit report. Or the call of action could be changing the materiality itself. It is possible that the materiality that was set initially may undergo a change based on the findings. So therefore, one who is finalizing this particular finding need not run after all the screens and all the places. It will straight away come to his screen. And what he has to take is, let us say, disclose in a report here it has to be reported in Caro deposits. That was the proposal made by my staff, and I am accepting that. Besides this, I am also saying that there should be a conclusion or audit conclusion that I'm going to draft. And if I click on add, it will take me to what are all the conclusions that can be drawn out of it. Is it a general conclusion, or is it a qualification? Is it a matter of emphasis or a key audit matter, or is it a disclaimer? So I can just record it under whichever the head I want. So qualification. Here I am saying that we found understatement of expense, or it's a subject to provisioning. So whatever I record here, because I'm recording it as a conclusion and the type of conclusion as a qualification, on the last day the audit report is drawn, all of these conclusions will be handy and it will come on the right-hand screen for enabling the auditor to give the report. Okay, so now we are discussing how do I record a finding and how do I finalize that. Okay, the moment I say submit, what happens is the consequential actions of this will be taken up by the system. Okay, now there is a finding and I have linked it to Caro to the deposit section. Now let us just, for the sake of example, let us go to Caro and see it in action. If I go to my Caro, you can see here under the Caro, under the relevant particular paragraph, the finding that has been mapped is appearing there. So this enables the drafting of the Caro or the drafting of any other report for the matter very, very easy. Okay. And while I draft also, I need not draft it from the scratch. So there are a lot of model answers that are provided. Like for this particular question, there are inbuilt model answers which the user can take any one of them. And of course, he can modify it the way he wants. So this will rapidly automate the way we are reporting. Not only that, let us say I'm reporting here and I'm saying that we found, now in this case, understatement of expense or asset, let us say. I can include a variable. This variable, the software reads it from the working papers and keeps it in your Caro or whatever the final deliverable that you give. You need not worry about its accuracy. The system will automatically calculate. Now, if I update this, the system will convert this text into the text into the value. Let me access the same paragraph again. Now you see, we found overstatement of that number had been captured by the system. Look at the way it is automating the whole process. And I'm able to generate my Caro out of the system itself. My findings are all mapped. I'm able to see all the findings that are mapped to Caro. And I can have a drill down of this. I can click here. I can go one step backward and see who finalized this. Like this was created by demo and then checked by Narsimha. And if I want to dig deep and then go, who had raised this finding, the audit memo. So that way it gives total navigability in the system from every procedure to every procedure. And it will greatly automate. If I go to Caro, I need not type whatever the amounts are or the final numbers are. It will pick up from the working paper. Okay. So again, to summarize your question, sir, simply put on finding Alt-N. What I just want to record a memo. So go to audit memo section and record it. Let us say you want to communicate something to other people. External communication. Just go to menu search, type external communication. So here you will be in a position to shoot out any mail, either in single or bulk, to any of the other users. So let us say you want to go for balance confirmations. Simply click on balance confirmations. So account payable balance confirmations, account receivable confirmations, bank balance confirmations. So if I hit on my bank balance confirmations, so I'll be able to select any of the samples here. Now you can see here, I have selected a sample of, it's a bigger sample, so it's taking time. Yeah. Now there are about 67 balances that I want to confirm. So I can type in their name and the email to which the mail has to be shooted. And I can simply click here and then shoot a bulk mail. Okay. So all the participants here will get an information that the so-and-so auditor is seeking a balance confirmation. And the beauty is when they confirm, you can see here response to mail, yes, no. The moment they respond to a mail, I'll get a notification here that the balance had been confirmed either with deviation or without deviation. And everything is integrated. Everything is integrated. So how I have picked up a sample here, again, I can go to my data analytics. I can go to my data analytics and from whatever the data set that I take here. So I can select any of the sample. Let us say I'm taking this National Aluminium Company and Shipping Corporation of India. And let us say on this particular sample, I want to reach out and I want to get a balance confirmation. What do I do? Simply click on the kind of audit procedure that you want to. So simply click on balance confirmations and then the subcategory thereof as account payable. Who has to get a confirmation? Just instruct so-and-so Kirti. And then who is a user for that, demo user? I'm just skipping these details. So this Shipping Corporation of India and National Aluminium Authority will naturally figure in my balance confirmation procedure. Now, if I go to my balance confirmations, under the accounts payable, of course, that bigger data set might. Now you can see here the Shipping Corporation of India and National Aluminium, these two have come here. Now I don't have their mail ID, therefore the data is blank. If I fetch the mail ID and then put them in a process, I can just simply select all and then bulk email. Now tomorrow, let us say some NEFRA or some peer reviewer is asking me how much of sample had been taken. It is all there. It is all there. Like I can go to my data collection and I can access my log, and in the log on whatever the kind of samples that I have done, you can see here, they are all logged. They are all, of course, if that log I have not worked upon, I can delete it. If that log I have worked upon, then it becomes a working paper. Now, if I click on those filter 2, I'll go to those particular 2 samples again. Okay, so I need not worry about safeguarding the sample, point number 1. And then on that, what is the kind of audit action that had been performed? Go to the relevant audit procedures, like if it is a balance confirmation, or if it is filling up of a checklist, or if it is some other kind of a physical verification or internal walkthrough. So all of them are readily available. Now, if I go to my accounts receivable, how much of confirmations I have obtained is readily available. Now, sir had asked about one question. How do I raise a memo? I have shown you a case where I have recorded a memo from the scratch. Now here, when I go into this, now this is a balance confirmation details. Let us say here I have some objection to raise. Then what I can do, I can raise a memo here from here itself also. It will also take me to the same screen. It will also take me to the same screen, audit memo. And in the audit memo, if you go to the references section, it will show the references where from we have got. This is a population. This is a sample. From there, the procedure applied is balance confirmation. So the advantage of using a memo within some audit procedure is I will have the references. Otherwise, I can come to the memo section and raise a memo directly. Okay. So it builds an ERP environment. That is what we said. It builds an across the organization, any kind of a procedure or any nature of audit, like it could be quarterly reviews, it could be a tax audit, it could be a GST audit. So based on the template that we use, the whole audit process changes and it builds an ecosystem from end to end. Yeah. Maybe I have taken your question as a cue and then taken it as an opportunity to disclose some other features, because I cannot continue to show on all the features at one go. It may be boring. Hope I answered your question, sir. How do I record a finding? How do I see it was finalized? And how do I see the final effect thereof?
Right, sir. So do we have a draft, audit report? Can we generate the draft audit report from the tool? From the tool?
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Yes. Yes.
So after putting all
So,
yes.
Yeah. I just now let me go back to the same.
Yes,
Now, if I want to go to any of the audit reports that I have to issue at the end, so I can access the same navigation, Alt N. I'm going to Caro. So this is a Caro report. Now, based on the findings that I have seen, based on the findings that have come, I have selected an appropriate model answer. So let me go into one question. So what the auditor has to do? Step 1, click on Caro. The Caro is already ready with the questions because they are all preloaded. The question part is a statutory. So therefore the questions are readily available. What is step 2? Click on a question, go deep into that. If you go there, you will be able to see all the findings that are mapped to that. Okay. So go through all the findings, go through the previous year findings also if required, go through what the report that you have given in the previous year that the system will pull from the archives directly. So this gives us a brief on how do I report it this year. Now, step 3, I need not draft it from the scratch, select an appropriate model answer. Based on the draft the answer is pre-filled, and if you want to edit, you can edit it. Okay. Now, if you want to use any sort of a numbers from working paper, you can straight away use it from variables like some number 3613 dissolvents. So if I update it, it will get converted into actual numbers. You need not worry about the accuracy of the number. So it will draw from the working paper. Now, if somebody puts it another understatement of asset, your Caro is updated. So just by seeing the findings and picking up an appropriate model answer and then modifying it, you have built the Caro step by step. Okay. Now there is a process of maker, checker, and approver. This is not yet approved. Let us say I'm approving. Do you want to approve? The moment I approve, it will turn into an approved kind of a thing. You can see it was approved. Okay. Of course, I can approve it in bulk. All of those options are there. Now my reporting job is done with very, very little effort because I'm not drafting from the scratch. I'm able to see all the findings, and a lot of other things are also there. Like what is the institute guidance available on this? What is the kind of industry practice, like how various companies are doing it? I'll be able to see. Similarly, what is the guidance that is available on that? If at all, some guidance is there. I think it is there at the bottom. Yeah. So what is the guidance that is available? Like any sort of a text, knowledge management, any sort of a text that is helpful for me to read and then fill, that is also available. Anyway, once I am done with my reporting.
Shiva, can this be updated or modified?
You mean by the user, themselves, by the subscribers themselves?
Yeah.
Yes. Of course, yes. Of course, yes. The system can be configured the way the user wants. And that is a whole USP. The unique sale proposition of this is, how is this an any audit? Because it is an open-ended audit management system. You can define the way. Let us say, can I use it in Singapore for Singapore-based audits? The answer is yes. Only thing is you have to set it up from the scratch. For Indian regulatory, we have already set it up, which the user can capitalize on. That's it. Otherwise, there is no restriction. You can define the guidance. You can define the industry practice. You can define the model answers. If you are doing that, it is building an unification force across your whole office. Now, generation of the audit report. What Amit ji had asked for.
Even database which you have, one can have his own database,
I couldn't get that.
Like you have given a draft of say one of the clauses of Caro, but one is not slightly comfortable with that draft, then one
You
can
change that.
put their own draft as well, no?
Yes,
As
yes,
a
of
database.
course. Of course, of course. Let us take this example. There are how many model answers are there? 1, 2, 3. There are 3 model answers against Caro 31A. Let us say you are not happy with this and you want to change it. Go to the settings. Of course, this requires some permissions and all for you. Within your office, who can do this? That is it. So I'm going to standard reports. I'm going to Caro. So within Caro, there are a lot of modal answers. So for modal answers of the Caro, I'm adding one more. I'm saying that the company is
Fair enough.
regular,
it's fair enough.
in maintenance. And I'm giving it as a short name as a model 4. The moment I say it as a model 4, that becomes your office know-how. That becomes your office repository. Okay, that way you can build on the whatever you want. Now, if I come to the same assignment again, and if I venture to fill the Caro. And if I go to 3.1a answer, within my model answers, there is model 4. And if I click on model 4, that model 4 will get. Okay. Now it is Caro. There could be some other report. If it is tax audit 3CD, if it is GST audit, GSTR 9, if it is bank LFAR. Now, if it is some NBFC, it could be another report. You can even build Caro like a report. You can even build your own report. Okay. Much less to say about model answers. You can even build your own report and the model answers thereof and the kind of variables that are there. Once it is set, there is a rapid automation for the years to come and for the times to come. Okay. You can even say the model audit, how the audit has to be done. You can even attach it with a checklist. You can define the whole ecosystem. Okay. And what we are presently giving is that we are giving the statutory audit model as a free one to complementary one for the users to start on because they cannot build from the scratch. That's it. Otherwise, it is not a limitation. Now, how do I generate a report? Okay, the report is being generated, prepared on the go along with the system. Now here you can see I can even cross-link it with my working papers. For this Caro, let us say I want to cross-link it with my other working papers. So let us say I want to confirm it with my management representation letter. I want to cross-link it my engagement letter as well. Okay. So within my Caro, I just want to cross-link those things. Yeah, something. Now, those cross linkages are also happening here, and I need not worry about the working paper numbers. All working paper numbers will be taken care by the system through some internal algorithm, which generates the working paper based on a sequence. Okay. Now, how do I generate a report out of this? There are three ways. One, if you click on this PDF, it will generate the Caro as a working paper. So if I click on Word, it will download it to a Word because you can modify it, format it, bold, italic kind of a thing, put it on your letterhead and then take a printout of. In Word, we are giving two versions. One is only answers. One is both question and an answer. So you can choose any one of them. Like if I choose only answers, the question part is not there in the report in the Word file. In the Word file, I will be able to see only the answer part. The company has maintained proper. So the question was missing. So typically this is how we give Caro, and typically in 3CD we used to give with question and answer. So conventions are there. Therefore, we have given both these words. So these words are more like to enable taking a printout and then signing in deliver. Otherwise, for generating a working paper, the PDF icon is there. Okay. So Amitji, to answer your question, any kind of a report, like if I want to go to 3CD, this assignment had got 3CD as well. Okay. So I can generate a 3CD. Oh, maybe I haven't mapped this 3CD. So I can generate those reports here itself. So whatever be the kind of a report that is mapped to this assignment, that becomes accessible and you can fill it and generate it in the system itself. People, I mean, those the firms that are using it, they now stopped taking printouts because there's no point in taking a printout. It is anyway available on a real-time basis. At any point of time, you can go to the planner, or you can be here. And the last icon is a working paper generator. You can click on that and generate a working paper at any point of time.
Okay. My second question is, sir, let's suppose if I have sent, what's it, confirmation letter to a party, and they have not, responded to that query. So will it pop up that that person has not sent the response to that query, or they get the notification, right?
No, notifications could be too cluttering. It may look fancy on day one, but then it could be too cluttering. What we have given is it will show the status at any given point of time, like who responded and who have not responded. So going back to your question. So let us say I go to balance confirmations. of receivables.
Hmm.
So the last icon is whether they have responded to mail. So yes, 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 no, no. Okay. Now if I click on this bell icon, it will shoot a reminder mail again. Send a reminder mail. Okay.
Do I have to feed it manually that we have received the response, or
No, 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 no. It is auto linked. Auto linked.
auto linked? Okay.
Yeah, it's auto linked. I'm not having this email and phone number of this. Otherwise, I can try with my name. So what I can do is
Okay.
not the maker or checker of the sample. Anyway, I just explained the process here. I am not supposed to do because the maker is Chari and checker is Abhishek. So there is a permission there. And if I click on this icon, show more, I will be able to see how they have responded.
That is nice.
Okay, so balance as per book 4,400, balance as confirmed 15,000, difference so much. So external remarks balance not matched. By this, which assertions are hit? I can map them. And if I want to generate any kind of a finding, I can do it from here itself. And if I want to send another reminder, I can again send a reminder mail. Okay. So because it is an ecosystem, yeah, we could even give it in a bell icon. But then our experience had been that it was too cluttering because even with lot of persuasion, the kind of response to balance confirmation cannot be more than maybe 10-15%. Okay, that is also too high. Okay, a lot of people may not respond or may respond at their time. So therefore, we have intentionally, this we will give just to show how are responded and who have not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Can send reminder mails, you can send bulk reminders as well.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So, sir, let's suppose if my firm is selected for the peer review, how this tool meet the documentation requirement for this peer review?
Yeah. So peer review is a bigger subject.
Quality review.
Yeah. Peer review is a very bigger subject because under peer review, it is not one assignment, unlike under QRB. The peer reviewer is going into lot of things. Now, AQMM was also made a part of peer review. Okay. And the kind of peer review, the applicability of the peer review, also there was a huge expansion of that. Any firm with 5 partners, now peer review is mandatory. Any firm doing bank branch audit, peer review is mandatory. So peer review requirements, yes, I'll just take it up. The environment which we are in, we call it as execution environment. You can see here at the top, assignment name is there. So for peer review, for administration, for MIS and all, we have to come out of this assignment. So now we are in, you can see the color of this as green to blue to indicate that we are in an admin. Now there is office management, user management, client management. So a lot of them are there. Peer review and all will come under office management. So under office management, there is a quality control, what you call quality control tab. So click on quality control tab. You can maintain the quality control, the quality manual, user manual or quality manual of your firm. So extending not only from the core areas, even from HR, even for engagement performance. So you for each of the area, like for example, employee, let us say employee recruitment. So for the recruitment process, what is the kind of a process that you are following? Okay, so this is your firm policy, which was written on left-hand side. And how are you ensuring that? Like, for example, you have recruited a new person, Naren. So have you followed this policy, whatever it had been written on left-hand side? So that is also there. Now, if I click on this recruitment policy from them, had the firm assessed his personal needs, are the firm up to date in job description? So all of those questions that are there as per your quality system can be there. So this is one part of the peer review. I'm not saying this is a whole peer review. This is one part of the peer review. Okay. So similarly, if you go for audit quality maturity model, which is now a part of peer review, which is now made a part, of course, there is no consequence to that. But what institute is saying that going forward, it is having a consequence. So let me apply that. So I'm saying audit quality maturity model section 1. So it will spin off an AQMM model for me automatically in the system, where I can cross-link it with all my working papers, and my AQMM scorecard is generated from the system itself. Now, does the firm had a balanced mix of experience and new assurance partners? So all the questions that Institute had released in version 1, version 2, I have selected version 1, you can select version 2 also. So that is there, and you can answer it here itself. And then you can also map on what basis you are answering this. Okay, at any point of time, if peer reviewer comes, you need not generate anything. Simply give the peer reviewer the login. So I read somewhere in the slides of Paresh sir, what he says, do your audit work, let the reviewer come, you just share your logins and then leave. So that is exactly the kind of objective with which it was built. Okay, so the AQMM is also inbuilt into this, not superficially like filling up of a checklist, but totally grounded and then having its roots from within. Okay, so now another part of peer review is the quality review of the engagement. So we have discussed about how the firm is generally maintaining the quality in each of the areas, like what is a staff retention, what is a training and development process that the firm is following. So you can write your, so every firm is, I mean, there are some 20 to 25 marks on this, whether the firm had got a written quality manual, whether the firm had got a system of SOPs in place, whether the system had got a proper place of onboarding an employee and offloading an employee. So all of them are also built into this under the quality control module of office management. As I said, AQMM is also there, DCMM is also there. You can see digital competency maturity model is also inbuilt into this. Now, within each, now another one the peer reviewer will ask is, how do he review all the documents? Okay. Now, when peer reviewer comes, he says that give me all the engagement letters of all the entities. So there is a search documentation feature. So without even going into any of the jobs, without even going into any of the assignments, so I can say, get me all the reports or drafts on, let us say, independent information. So if I search through, it searches through the whole office and it will list me all the engagement, like this is HIJ Enterprises, the independence confirmation obtained. ABC independence confirmation obtained. So if it is there within that assignment done, the peer reviewer or even the quality reviewer within the office can review it, can identify it by procedure, by report. So if I click here, ABC Limited independence confirmation by audit team, I'm just getting the documentation even without going there. Okay, so I'm able to access it. You can give this access to peer reviewer, and the access could be for a limited time and then you can withdraw. So that's it. Done is documented is our slogan. Okay, so this is one part of peer review. Another part of peer review is the exact quality with which an audit has been done. So that is a little technical. So for that, he had to get into the assignment. He has to get into the assignment. Now here under the team and setting, there is a review partner. So you can enable or you can give the review partner status to your peer reviewer temporarily. If that be so, he can log in. Otherwise, he can't log in. Of course, you have to give login and you also enable if you want to give a login or not. You can give an offline peer review also where you have to download all the PDFs and make it enable, make it available to him. Or else you can make a soft peer review also where you give a user ID and a password to a limited assignments which were selected by him. Okay, even in fact, it will allow the peer reviewer to select a sample out of the assignments also. Now, once he gets into that, he can go into any of the jobs. He can go into any of the jobs. So click as an EQCR, you can see the engagement quality control review. This one is also available. He can come here, take notes or take a PDF generated out of that. That is also there. But this requires a lot of preparation from the firm side. It could be the destination after 2-3 years, maybe possible once the every documentation is done as per the system. Okay, but it will greatly help in unifying. Another major point is, let us say a firm is having 2 or 3 branches. Okay, anything that is done at the master level is auto communicated to all the people across. Okay, now I am in ABC Limited. If I want to import a procedure into this, let us say I can access my checklist or questionnaires. Whatever is there in the library is accessible. Now let us say audit trail is a new concept. the firm had put up an audit trail checklist in the library, immediately it becomes accessible to everyone. Okay, which itself is also a part of AQMM, which is forming part of our peer review. Okay. Of course, as I said, there is a data analytics module, there is a financial statement module, there is an audit work allocation module, there is a quality control module. There are about 15 modules in that, and not that every module is, or not that every module is used by all the users. It is up to them to choose. Yeah. Hope I answered your question, sir.
Yes, sir. Is it you have answered regarding MIS as well? MIS reporting?
Yeah, in fact, I haven't. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, just give me
Maharashtra.
2 minutes.
Okay, okay, okay. Sir.
Yeah, MIS reporting is another unique feature, very powerful feature that helps the signing partner or the team, the head partner a lot. Like, for example, again, there is planner. The last one is MIS reports. This MIS reports is a way to run through all the audit working papers without actually running through them page by page. Like, for example, if I want to go to these audit conclusions and I want to get all the conclusions that are made by the team in any way, which are of the nature of qualification. So I can run a query. It will fetch me those reports that are made. And if I click there, I can dig deep into that. Okay. Similarly, if I want to select all the checklists where the answer is not as expected, like the answer is not as per the master answer, that I can run as a query. Similarly, I can say that search all the audit findings which are yet to be finalized. So I need not run after each finding. I can simply select, get here and then run my query. And I'm running a query not on client's data. I'm running a query on my own audit working papers. That was a beauty. So let us say which are not complied but closed. Or let me know all the findings which are not complied but are closed across the job. So these are those findings. You can see 33. Otherwise, the total number of audit findings I have got in this model assignment are like a little bit more, 38. Now, what are still pending open findings in the job? Now, if I say only one item is pending, okay. Now, will get me all which are yet to be finalized, or get me all findings which are reverted back, not accepted by maybe the partner or the senior. Okay. So there are nothing like reverted back. So this way, I can run a query on my own workings, on my own audit workings, like how is it done? So this helps a lot of time, and this helps beautiful reports to be generated. Now, can I search my balance confirmation and say who have not reverted back? Or I can run a query on my balance confirmation and say that where they are not reconciled. Okay. So in each of the area, be it on balance confirmations, be it on checklist, be it on findings, be it on internal, of course, I haven't gone through the module of internal control evaluation. There is an exclusive module on internal control evaluation, the risk assessment thereof, and the control testing. In view of lack of time, I couldn't go there. But then just for the sake of record, let me say that I can even do the risk assessment of each of the finding. I can draw my own RCM here and I can put my control testing. So can I run a query stating that get me all the risks which are not adequately covered by the control? Get me all the risk where the control score is less than so much. So MIS area is one area where I need not see in a planner, there are about 200 line items. I cannot run through each of the line item, go there and then search what is done and what is not done. MIS gives a powerful gateway management information system for the auditor, for his own office. So there are about 30 plus MIS reports that are possible out of the own audit findings. So this gives a very quick wrap up, and it is very helpful in assignments like internal audit where the legwork to be done is huge, where the samples to be covered and the transactional testing to be done is huge. Then it becomes very handy. Okay. And there is auto roll forward. Let us say if it is quarterly assignments, there is an auto roll forward to the next quarters and next quarter and onwards as well.
Sure, sir. So you have already covered all the questions, all the questions in the session that I'm going to ask. I was going to ask. So,
Yeah.
so there's no question from my side. Paris sir, do you have any question?
Yeah. No, I think fair enough. I don't
Yes,
have any specific question.
he has covered all the queries from my side as well.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sir Prasad sir. Thank you so much, Paris sir, for contributing and giving such a valuable insight on this topic. Definitely going to help a lot, and especially for practitioners like me who used to follow a manual, practice in the audit. Uh, as I said earlier, which is not commensurate with the fees that we are receiving. So it will going to help a lot for us.
True,
So
true,
thank you so
true.
much.
Fees is a very big barrier, and technology reduces the cost.
Yes.
If we have technology, we need not worry about the cost. With very minimal manpower, of course, we have to train them. The cultural shift that it requires to transform the office is one of the most important things. But once that is done, whatever we do, there is a very heavy iteration. Like for next year, next quarter, similar client and all. There, the payoff is that is a whole subject. That is a whole subject. And then technology helps us do things with fast and ease. That is where we can fit into the financial viability. Paresh sir had also underlined the importance of that. Lack of fee is a very big root cause. So somehow we have to find a way where we get things done with a minimal cost.
Correct, sir.
True, true, true.
Sure. So, Sivan sir, do you have any thing to share? Are you there? Just a second, sir. Moji, line पे आप? शिवान जी आ जाइए. So yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you so much for the session, and we'd like to conclude the session. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah, I
Thanks for the
thank the institute also for giving us
Yes, sir.
opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. Thank you all. Thanks, the institute. Thank you.